How Cape Town gangs use lawyers to escape justice every time. Cape Town's gang problem is a well-known tragedy. But what keeps these groups thriving in the face of justice? The answer lies not just in violence or corruption, but in the quiet offices of skilled lawyers. These attorneys, operating within the bounds of the law, are the secret weapons of the city's most dangerous criminals. While the courts are meant to deliver justice, gangs exploit legal loopholes to stay untouchable. This creates a shadowy system where crime thrives under a veneer of legality. Gangs use their vast resources to hire top-tier lawyers, turning trials into elaborate chess games. These lawyers are not just defenders. They are strategists, masters at delaying cases and undermining evidence. Witnesses disappear, prosecutors are overwhelmed, and cases drag on for years. Judges face pressure as the public grows frustrated with a system that appears broken. This dynamic fuels a cycle where gangs become bolder, confident in their ability to escape consequences. Ordinary residents feel the brunt of this imbalance, as justice seems out of reach. What makes this tactic so effective is its subtlety. Lawyers operate within the rules, but their work distorts the system. To understand how this happens, we must dive into the mechanisms gangs exploit. This is a story of power, fear, and the troubling relationship between crime and the law. The bond between Cape Town's gangs and their lawyers is built on trust, money, and strategy. For gangs, hiring the best legal minds is an investment in their survival. These lawyers aren't ordinary defenders. They are carefully chosen for their ability to exploit legal gray areas. Over time, some lawyers become deeply embedded in gang operations, advising on how to avoid prosecution. They coach members on what to say during arrests, ensuring their rights are protected. Even before a trial begins, these lawyers are laying the groundwork for a strong defense. Their role goes beyond courtrooms. They serve as consultants, helping gangs operate within technical boundaries of the law. For gangs, this creates a sense of invincibility, as they know they have the tools to manipulate the system. Lawyers, meanwhile, justify their involvement as providing fair representation. However, this relationship blurs ethical lines, turning the legal system into a shield for organized crime. Many residents wonder, how can justice prevail when the law itself is weaponized? This relationship reveals how deeply gangs infiltrate even the most structured institutions. It is not just about breaking the law, it's about bending it to their will. One of the most effective tactics used by gang lawyers is the strategic delay of justice. They file motion after motion, requesting extensions, appeals, and procedural reviews. These delays frustrate prosecutors and give gangs time to intimidate witnesses or destroy evidence. By dragging cases out for years, they exploit an overburdened legal system. Courts in Cape Town are already struggling with backlogs, making prolonged trials even more damaging. Witnesses, often fearful for their lives, may withdraw their testimonies over time. Prosecutors face burnout, and public pressure mounts for quick resolutions. Meanwhile, defendants often get released on bail, allowing them to continue their criminal activities. The longer a case drags on, the weaker it becomes, as evidence decays and memories fade. Gangs have turned this delay tactic into an art form, relying on their lawyers to keep the system spinning. What's most frustrating is that these delays are entirely legal, protected by procedural rights. However, the cumulative effect undermines public trust in the justice system. This manipulation of time ensures that justice, even when served, often comes too late. For victims and their families, this slow grind feels like an additional betrayal. Witness intimidation is one of the darkest tools in the gang lawyer playbook. Gangs target witnesses through threats, bribes, or violence, ensuring silence before cases reach court. Lawyers play a key role by identifying vulnerabilities in witness testimonies during pretrial proceedings. This information often finds its way back to gangs, putting witnesses at risk. Many witnesses refuse to testify, knowing the risks outweigh the rewards. Without witnesses, prosecutors struggle to build strong cases, often leading to acquittals. For gangs, this is a win-win situation, as silenced witnesses eliminate the biggest threats to their freedom. Public confidence erodes as cases collapse, reinforcing the perception that gangs are untouchable. Efforts to protect witnesses through relocation or anonymity often fall short due to resource limitations. Lawyers, operating within their ethical obligations, distance themselves from intimidation claims. However, the connection between legal defense and witness silencing is hard to ignore. This tactic not only hinders justice, but also spreads fear throughout communities. Residents become reluctant to report crimes, knowing they might face retaliation. The result is a chilling effect, where gangs grow stronger as communities fall silent. Witness intimidation is a grim reminder of how fear can undermine even the strongest legal systems. Gangs and their lawyers thrive on finding and exploiting legal loopholes. These gaps in the law allow defendants to escape justice on technicalities, even when evidence is strong. For example, a missed filing deadline or improperly handled evidence can derail an entire case. Lawyers argue these points with precision, often persuading judges to dismiss charges. Procedural errors, though minor, become powerful weapons in courtrooms. Gangs rely on this tactic to maintain their image of invincibility, even when guilt seems obvious. For prosecutors, these technicalities are a constant source of frustration, undermining months of hard work. The public sees these outcomes as failures, eroding faith in the justice system. Lawyers defending gangs often argue that they are simply ensuring due process is followed. However, this raises ethical questions about whether justice is truly being served. The repeated exploitation of legal loopholes exposes weaknesses in the system that need urgent reform. These tactics make it clear that the problem is not just about gangs, but the structure of the law itself. Closing these loopholes is essential to leveling the playing field in courtrooms. Until then, gangs will continue to escape justice, one technicality at a time. Corruption within Cape Town's legal and law enforcement systems amplifies the problem. Some officials accept bribes to lose evidence or delay proceedings. Gangs use their lawyers to facilitate these transactions, creating a seamless chain of influence. Corruption ensures that even strong cases fall apart before reaching trial. Judges, prosecutors, and police officers who resist bribery face intimidation or career sabotage. This creates a chilling effect, discouraging others from challenging gang power. The systemic nature of corruption means that no part of the legal process is immune. Lawyers defending gangs often operate in gray areas, exploiting both legal rights and corrupt networks. This makes it nearly impossible to distinguish between legitimate defense and complicity. For residents, corruption feels like the final betrayal, proving the system serves power, not people. Efforts to root out corruption face immense challenges, including threats to whistleblowers. Without accountability, gangs remain emboldened, knowing the system works in their favor. Corruption isn't just a flaw, it's a pillar of gang survival in Cape Town. Addressing it requires sweeping reforms, but these changes face resistance at every turn. The gang lawyer dynamic has devastating ripple effects on Cape Town's communities. As gangs escape justice, their power and influence grow, spreading fear and violence. Residents see the legal system failing repeatedly, making them less likely to cooperate with law enforcement. This creates a vicious cycle where crimes go unreported and gangs operate with impunity. The psychological toll on communities is immense as hope for justice fades. Families of victims are left to grapple with unresolved pain, knowing the system failed them. Gangs use their unchecked power to recruit more members, perpetuating the cycle of violence. Local businesses suffer as neighborhoods become unsafe, driving away customers and investors. Schools are affected as children grow up in environments where crime seems unstoppable. The erosion of community trust weakens social bonds, making recovery even harder. This dynamic isn't just a legal problem. It's a societal crisis that affects every aspect of life. Cape Town's future depends on breaking this cycle and restoring faith in justice. Communities need support resources and protection to stand against gang influence. Without these efforts, the cost will continue to grow, leaving Cape Town's residents trapped in fear. Despite the challenges, efforts to combat gang lawyer tactics are gaining momentum. Prosecutors are receiving specialized training to counter legal maneuvers used by gangs. Witness protection programs are being expanded, though funding remains a challenge. Grassroots organizations are stepping in, offering legal aid and support to victims. Some judges are taking a firmer stance, pushing back against deliberate delays and frivolous motions. Public pressure is mounting for reforms to close legal loopholes and increase accountability. Anti-corruption initiatives are targeting officials complicit in gang activities. Community leaders are encouraging residents to report crimes and resist gang intimidation. These efforts, though small, represent a growing resistance to the status quo. Cape Town's residents are finding ways to reclaim their neighborhoods and demand justice. However, progress is slow, and setbacks are common as gangs adapt to new challenges. Breaking the cycle of exploitation will require sustained effort and collaboration. The fight against gang influence is far from over, but these steps offer hope. Cape Town's resilience shines through even in the darkest times, proving change is possible. Cape Town isn't alone in facing gangs that manipulate legal systems. Cities worldwide have grappled with similar challenges, offering valuable lessons. For example, Medellin, Colombia, once dominated by cartels, saw success through community-focused reforms. Local governments invested in education, housing, and employment to weaken gang recruitment. New York City's crackdown on organized crime relied on specialized task forces and witness protection. Other cities, like Rio de Janeiro, have experimented with community policing and legal reforms. These examples highlight the importance of addressing both systemic and community-level issues. Cape Town can learn from these successes while tailoring solutions to its unique challenges. Collaboration between law enforcement, legal experts, and residents is crucial. International partnerships could provide resources and expertise to tackle organized crime. By studying these global examples, Cape Town can avoid repeating mistakes and focus on proven strategies. The fight against gangs is a global battle, and Cape Town's story is part of a larger narrative. Lessons from other cities show that while the road is difficult, change is possible. The path to justice in Cape Town requires bold reforms and collective action. Closing legal loopholes and ensuring accountability must be top priorities. Investing in witness protection and community programs can help rebuild trust in the system. Corruption must be rooted out through transparency, oversight, and harsh penalties for offenders. Empowering prosecutors and judges with the resources they need will strengthen the fight against gangs. Education campaigns can help residents understand their rights and the importance of standing up to intimidation. International partnerships could bring valuable expertise and resources to the table. Most importantly, Cape Town's residents must remain at the heart of these efforts. The fight for justice is as much about empowering communities as it is about fixing systems. While the challenges are immense, Cape Town has the resilience and determination to overcome them. By addressing the root causes of gang influence, the city can create a safer, more just future. This isn't just a fight for today, it's a fight for generations to come. Cape Town's story is one of struggle, but it can also be one of